most traders don't put that screen time on the markets. What they think they're doing is they think they're benefiting off sitting in front of screens for 8 hours. They have no idea what they're looking at or what they're looking for. And that ultimately gets nowhere. In order for you guys to build on A+ setups and build on your strategy, you need to have a lot of screen time. It's extremely important for any trader to have a process. So there's multiple levels of processes that we need to have. The first process comes into...
Boom.
What is going on, man?
Welcome, Umar Ashraf. How are you doing today, brother? It's nice to get you on, my man.
I'm doing good, man. How are you doing? By the way, I have a lot of background noise. I don't know if you guys hear it or not, or are we good?
We're really good, actually.
Okay.
I mean, we've had far worse on the platform, aka X. So anyway, we got a Q&A session today, and would love to get some folks asking some questions. I know I got a couple questions for you. And I mean, awesome podcast, by the way. Really, I just want to add, at 45 going on 46, watching the maturity that you have. I was such a fuck stick when I was your age.
I appreciate that, man.
I'm not kidding,
I appreciate
bro.
that. I appreciate that. I mean, I always say age is just a number. It just depends on things you go through. Some people go through more experiences or certain experiences at an earlier age that kind of pushes us to mature. And for some people, it's later on. But I mean, listen, I've listened to a lot of podcasts you've done, a lot of spaces you've done, and all of them have been amazing, beyond amazing, man. So, hats off to you.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. We try and what makes the content great is not me by any means. It's the community. It's the folks that come in and drop a lot of alpha that provide a lot of insight. And I think more importantly, are willing to be open, honest, transparent. Creating that safe space, in my opinion, is what really, really matters. So respect, mutual respect is really, really important for what we do here at Trader Roundhouse.
Of course, yeah. And yeah, I speak for everyone on here as well. Once again, what you're doing for the community, same thing with what Riz is doing for the community. It's amazing, offering so much free value, free education, free concepts. I think that's what it's all about. So thank you for me and everyone else on here for that.
Awesome. Thank you for the flowers. I want to jump into it right away. And I want to start with a softball. I think an easy question, but the topic of today's discussion are trade management systems. How important is a trade management system to you, Umar, and for any trader that's looking to level up their game?
So what is your concept of a trade management system is my question before I answer that.
Oh, okay. I mean, when I think trade management, I think risk management, I think journaling, I think any form of tracking software, any way in which you can automate the organization or systemization of where and how you operate within the market. So journaling's huge, backtesting's huge, forward testing, executed trades, all being able to streamline those things into an analytics, into a platform in which you can engage and analyze your operation.
Sure. Got it. Okay, yeah. So first and foremost, I think it's extremely important for any trader to have a process, right? So there's multiple levels of processes that we need to have. The first process comes into identifying trade setups, like how does one identify trade setups? Second is how does one keep records of their trades? Third is how does one build an edge and refine their strategy, which is through backtesting. And our job as traders is to create that process as consistent as possible. So I'll explain my process really quick, right? So my process starts on Sundays, right? So Sundays till Friday is like my trading week. On Saturdays, I do nothing trading related. Like I don't want to talk about trading. I don't want anyone to communicate with me about trading. I want to have that one day where I'm completely away from charts and any sort of trading talks, right? Sundays, I start off with my process by first recapping last week in terms of what has happened in the market. How did I respond to the market in terms of, hey, this was my game plan, this was my assumption, these are the trades I took, this is what I did right, this is what I did wrong, these are the strategies that worked, these are the strategies that didn't work, right? Then I carry that over into the upcoming week. So, hey, today is Sunday, August 27th. the upcoming week, this is what we're expecting. These are the economic events we're expecting, right? These are the events that happened last week that may possibly give us a move. Like, for example, Powell just spoke this weekend and on Friday. So Powell speaking, and based on his comments and the market reaction, we're already geared for a move upcoming this week, right? There's a move that we are geared towards. So market is going to make some sort of adjustment. Market is going to make some sort of move. Now, the reason I'm aware of that is by being on top of what has happened last week. Now, that's one angle of looking at the markets. The second angle, as I mentioned, is looking at your trades. Like, hey, with my trades, what problems have I ran into this week? What mistakes have I made? What are things that I did good? What strategies have been effective? Is it a risk on market for me this upcoming week? Is it a risk off market? So when I spend Sundays, I spend like 2 hours, maybe 3 hours, kind of finding that. My upcoming week becomes a lot more smoother and easier to just kind of take on.
Wow. So you're automating everything throughout the week. You're not touching it on Saturdays. And then you're really trying to take how you operated, how you performed, your strategies. I just got a really, really quick follow-up question for you in regards to strategies. I noticed from a previous podcast of yours that you had an A-plus setup documented as the gap, the opening gap on a Monday. And I was curious, do you note those percentile? I mean, like the 25%, for example, on the opening gap for me is a big deal, as is 50. And I was just curious, within your A-plus setups, do you have documentation on like a quartile or a percentage within that opening gap that is occurring for that retracement to then take your ultimate setup or terminus?
Yeah, of course. So what I first start off with, where is the most volume traded for the last week, right? How has the market traded? So there's times where the market is very balanced, meaning that the market's current price is fair, market accepts the current price, there's no imbalances in price, and that's when we get a choppy market, that's when we get a flat market. Now, when there is a shift in volume, there is a shift in price, those are days where we start getting real moves. So when I do see that we're opening within a range of yesterday, and most of the volume is still traded in that range, most of the time I'm going to be risk off. That's why if you look at some of my trades, you'll see I won't take a trade for a week. I won't take a trade for 9 days. And I'll randomly come out, take a trade, and have a big day, right? Because I start looking at, okay, we're going to gap above this range that we've been, navigating around. Now, when we gap above this range, when we do open up, is there a volume shift? Do aggressive buyers step in and do they hold that price up? Or are aggressive buyers not able to step in and hold the price up, and we're unable to move higher, and we go right back into the range? So a lot of it starts off with what is the structure of the market, where are the levels of balances and imbalances, and where are we potentially opening up? So gap up and gap down days, especially if we gap up or down from ranges, is very important for me. In those days, I'm anticipating action.
I love that answer. And just from watching previous podcasts with you, and that being one of your A-plus setups that you had documented within conversing or talking about that, what a great answer.
Yeah, and I want to add something on that, right? So guys, in order for you guys to build on A-plus setups and build on your strategy, you need to have a lot of screen time, right? So I always tell traders, like, let's say you are trading the New York session, right? Or you're trading the open of the New York market from 9:30 a.m. Eastern time to, let's say, 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. So give or take 2 hours. If you do trade those 2 hours and then you record that session and you go back to it, that will be more impactful to you than you sitting on the screens for the other 6 or 7 hours, right? Because if you've already seen what has happened in the market, you kind of know what to look for, and you replay that session, that'll give you more insight on the market and more insight of what you're missing based on what you are looking for. And I've noticed most traders don't put that screen time on the markets. What they think they're doing is they think they're benefiting off sitting in front of screens for 8 hours. They have no idea what they're looking at or what they're looking for. And that ultimately gets nowhere. So to me, that's a waste of time. So if you just take the first 2 hours, record the session, screen recorded. After the session is done, look at your pre-market notes and say, these were my pre-market notes, what I thought was going to happen. This was my game plan. This is what happened, and this is what didn't happen. And you can kind of start understanding that picture. Give or take a couple of weeks, you'll get this strong feel of the market, and you'll be able to react better to levels.
Ooh, the alpha dropped in this discussion today. Talking about A-plus setups with Umar Ashraf, founder of TradeZella, what I would consider a trade management system. You're looking at setups, you're looking at how you react and operate within the market, your strategies, right? Whether you're going to be risk on, risk off, all very, very important things. You must document these things if you want to level up your game. We're going to go around the table. We got a lot of speakers here. I do want to keep the Q&A format. Riz has got plenty. He's asked plenty of questions. We got Omar here, Don. We got Noman. We got Umar. We got Rodrigo. We're just going to start around the table quickly. I know Umar's kind of in a tough spot. So if you got questions and answers, we'd like to direct those towards the founder of TradeZella, Umar Ashraf, who's on with us today at Trader Roundup. So going around the room, going around the table, Riz, Omar, Don, Noman, Umar, and Rodrigo. Starting with Riz, I know you've exhausted the questions, but did you have a follow-up after the podcast for Umar?
Sure. I'll do a quick one. And I may have asked this on one of the podcasts, but I'll say to Umar here as well, like, why TradeZella? Like, obviously you built TradeZella and you could just make it basic in terms of just journaling, right? But as you've said recently in regards to backtesting software, potential trade copier, in terms of mentor mode, in terms of tracking prop firm challenges, what is it about TradeZella that you're trying to build, and why is it that you're making it so in depth and not just settling for sort of just a basic software?
Sure. So our goal is to build an all-in-one trading tool within the next year. We have plans to build in a community. We have plans to track and follow traders, see what they're trading, how they're trading. I just want one place where traders can go and just learn about trading, get insights from other traders, share their backtesting strategies, backtesting plays, things like that. And that's been the goal from day one, right? I didn't want to just come in and build a journaling tool. That wasn't the intention. It was to build an all-in-one journaling platform. And, it doesn't happen overnight. It's going to take some time. And that's the thing. My thing has always been, if you want to play at any sort of game, play at the highest level possible. And, don't settle for, something low, I guess.
Definitely. And just a quick follow-up would be, how would you advise people to best use TradeZella? Like, how would they get the most use out of it and value from it?
I think the best way to get value from any journaling tool out there, even outside of trading, is you have to not only journal the trades you've taken, but you also have to journal your thought process, right? For example, hey, these are my pre-market notes. This is what I anticipated the market to do. This was my game plan. This is what has happened in the market. What did I read wrong? What did I miss? Oh man, I took a trade and there was economic events. Why do I keep missing economic events? Oh, I started paying attention when there is this certain economic event. The market, tends to be flat. Now, I know for me, this comes second nature, but for a lot of new beginner traders, this is not second nature. So it's like when they start journaling and start writing down their thought process and recapping, their trades on a deeper level, it gives them the insights, right? Also, like if you're able to go back and replay some of your trades, let's say you go and trade US 30 and you replay it, tick by tick or minute by minute, you're able to see, oh, wow, why did I sell there? Oh, wow, why did I buy there, right? It gives you a deeper understanding of your trading. Because I always say you're a complete different person as a trader when you're in front of the computer and when you're off. When you're in front of the computer, your mind is clouded by a lot of things opposed to when you're off. So when you look at trades, when you're off the computer, you start getting a better perspective of your trades.
Ooh, I love that answer. Love that answer. Riz has had a couple questions. We want to keep going around the table. We got Omar, Don, Noman, Andre, Umar, Rod. We got a lot of heavy hitters in the room, legit traders. Omar, you got a question at all? Any comment on trade management systems?
Yeah, so first of all, shout out to Umar.
Shout out to you, Omar.
I appreciate it. But I actually had a quick question in regards to, because I've been following your journey pretty much since I believe 2018. So I kind of saw the whole come up. And I remember watching you kind of scale up big positions specifically on that Tesla when, I believe it's 2020. I can't remember exactly the time, but that's when you started to really push size. So my question would be for someone who's more intermediate, right? how would you go about in terms of giving advice to someone who's scaling up size, right? Because at some point, every trader wants to get consistent, wants to get profitable. It's time now for them to kind of get ready to start sizing up, start making more money. So what's like the biggest tip that you would have in terms of how someone should properly go about scaling, when someone should know when to scale up? And yeah, just from your experience and other traders you've spoken with.
Yeah, of course. So I think sizing up is something someone should only consider doing if you've had a 6 month track record, right? So I think if you've had a 6 month track record of, having, let's say, 3 setups, you know what market conditions these setups work under. You know how to execute these setups really, really well. You have a good read on the setup, right? And you've been able to do it for, let's say, 6 months consistently. I think then you should size up. I think sizing up is mentally very exhausting because, of course, when you take on more risk, you put on more size. You will always have the aspect in the back of your head that if I'm wrong, I will lose X amount. Like even till this day, I take some trades. I'm like, okay, if I'm wrong, I'm going to lose 20 grand. I'm going to lose 15 grand. It's mentally there, but the confidence overtakes that because I've seen my setups unfold over and over and over again. And the setups that unfold, they're not textbook setups, right? What I mean by that is they're not going to happen the same way that it happened the last time, but the structure and the movement and like the psychological move behind it is similar, but the textbook way isn't similar. And I think a lot of traders have a hard time with that because when they see one setup happen, they're expecting it to happen the same way. So me after backtesting, me after going back and looking at the markets over and over again, looking at what I pay attention to, what I don't pay attention to, and getting a good read of myself in the market, I'm able to decipher the days when I want to be aggressive and when I do put on size, my critical thinking essentially doesn't get hijacked by my emotions, right? And that will happen to you early on because you don't have the confidence or the enough screen time to back up your thesis. So in simple terms, it just build up a lot of screen time, build up more confidence, scab at size slowly because you can be really, really good at your strategy and reading it. But the moment more size kicks in, it's very easy for you to feel emotional and for you to, look at everything from a loss perspective.
What a great answer. What a great question. Any follow-up on that, Omar? Otherwise, we're going to continue around the room.
No, yeah, I mean, that was a great answer. But yeah, I'm going to let other people also speak and ask questions. But yeah, great answer.
Don, you're next up on my screen. We're talking trade management systems. We got only legitimate traders in the room. Lots of BDE energy going on. In case you didn't know what that is, it's big dick energy. Just saying, every speaker rocking it, long and loose and full of juice. What's up, Don?
Hey, how's it going? I wasn't planning to speak. I just wanted to say though, Umar has a great the TradeZella thing. I've only followed him like recently, and I've seen what he's done with the Trade Journal, and honestly, it's like I think one of the best things I've seen like in the whole industry ever. Like someone ever made.
I appreciate that, Don. Thank you so much, man. It means a lot.
Yeah, because like I've always been sampling my trades like on like spreadsheets. Like we made spreadsheets in the past, and like it was like detailed spreadsheets, right? So it'll show like our plays and setups, but like I've never seen somebody who made a complete software which documents each and every little detail about the trades. So I think that's just like one of the greatest things I've seen, and it's a good way to just like innovate like traders around.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. That's been our mission from day one, just to build one tool that every trader can hop on and immediately, find value from. It sucks because it's not fully what we are intending to build. We're still at like 10-20% of like the end goal. But yeah, in long-term wise, having backtesting, having a trade copier, having a social platform, having a meditation section in there, having education, right? There's a lot of things we want to incorporate, and just one place traders can go and just, learn from and get better at.
Excellent. We're going around the room. Rod's got his hands up. Rod, jump in here next, if you don't mind. Then we'll hear from Noman, Andre, and Umar as well.
Assalamu alaikum, Umar. Thanks for jumping on. I've got a question in regards to, well, from my perspective as a performance coach. For me, the journaling, the collecting of data, especially with the qualitative data, is so important, because for me, it's all about the process. It's all about gamifying the process, because as long as you follow the process, the outcome will just take care of itself, as long as there is an edge. And in fact, some of my clients, the traders that I work with, they use TradeZella. So, shout out to you for that. And it's a really, really good platform. But
Roger, your
I'm
audio
really.
just dropped a little bit, the volume.
Oh, okay. One sec. Am I back? Is that better?
We can hear you. It's just the audio's not great. I don't know what it is. Just continue, bro. I think we can hear you.
Okay. So I've got some questions in regards to the mentor mode, because at the moment I'm having to share logins with my clients. So I'm curious to know what kind of extra features are going to be available for mentors. That's really important for me. And another question is in regards to the MAE and MFE. So at the moment, this is a really useful metric for traders when they're trying to improve and refine their stop losses and their take profits. And that's a feature that's lacking at the moment. And I was wondering if there's going to be any feature which will track the opening price and closing price when the trade, not just the opening and closing price, but also the price when the trade was actually open, because that would actually track the MAE and MFE a lot more accurately, and because that would really help with when I'm trying to improve the reward to risk for traders. So yeah, my questions are, to summarize, is about the mentor mode, see if there's any sneak peeks, and also the MAE and MFE data.
Yeah, sure. So first and foremost, thank you for being a part of TradeZella. And for MAE, MFE, we have that already. For Forex, some Forex instruments, it is a little bit weird, because what we found out with Forex is every kind of broker has their own internal database of what spreads and what prices they show. So it is something that we have to kind of solve better for that reason. But if you have stocks, options, futures, the MAE, MFE should work pretty accurately. So if you do go in the trade log, or even if you go in the daily journal, you can add those, right? Second, for the mentor mode, we are planning, hopefully end of this week, to roll it out. So what you can do is you can send a link to your mentees, and you can essentially access their account if they approve it. So that we are aiming to hopefully launch by end of this week.
That's great. Yeah, I'm excited for that. And yeah, those are my questions. So I appreciate you coming on, and excited for the mentor mode and the launch.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much again.
So heard from Riz, Omar, Don, Rodrigo, Andre, NFX. Curious, as a funded trader trading multiple millions of dollars, if you could talk a little bit more about trade management, and if you had any questions for Umar in regards to trade management systems. We're trying to do a Q&A. So would love to hear your thoughts, Andre.
Hey, thanks for having me. So first of all, thanks for TradeZella, has been really helpful, especially with the prop firm connections. I've never really been a big journaling guy. I've never really journaled trades, just because the way I'm wired, I think I have a very good visual memory. So I basically memorize every setup I take. So I didn't really journal everything, but the data that I have there is really helpful to see where should I focus on. So the last, I think, 3 months that I've been using TradeZella has helped me in figuring out the better setups for me and focusing on that. But just wanted to ask Umar about, from all the data he has seen, what is the best average risk-reward ratio and the best win rate that a trader can have, like the most consistent one?
Sure. So first and foremost, thanks again for being a part of TradeZella. Second, in terms of the best risk reward ratio, best win percentage, that's all contingent on strategy, right? That's all contingent. Like I know traders that have a 20 or a 30% win percentage, and their risk reward is like a 6-to-1 or a 7-to-1, right? And I know people that have an 80% win ratio, where their risk reward is like a 1.5 to a 1, right? So it depends ultimately on your strategy. It depends on what you're trading, how you're trading it. So there's no concrete answer to that, right? If you're scalping, for example, just for argument's sake, you're scalping and getting in and out of trades a few minutes in, a few seconds in and out, you will be taking a lot of trades. So in that kind of strategy, you might not have the highest win percentage, but some traders I've seen, they've had a great R multiple, right? They'll have a 3 to 1 R, or they'll have a 2.5 to 1 R, right? So once again, it's contingent to your strategy and your approach to the market.
Yeah, thanks for the answer. I was just curious based on the data if there's like any pattern to the average risk reward, but yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and in terms of data, we're not looking to sell data or look at data. So that's been one thing. From my end, we're not here to collect customers' data and sell it or do anything with it. So your data is your data, and I want to stick by that, right? So I don't, in terms of looking at data and seeing, I don't really have an answer for that.
Yeah, makes sense. Thanks, Umar.
No problem. Thank you.
We're going around the room, trader roundup with Riz, Umar, with a lot of phenomenal speakers. We got Omar, Don, Andre, Umar, Rodrigo. We want to hear from you. This is a Q&A session, probably going about 90 minutes total, I think. So that's the idea. It won't be too long of a marathon in the way of a conversation, but it will be to the point, succinct, and powerful. Umar, Umzi. My man, how you doing? Do you got any questions or you got anything to add in regards to trade management? Maybe something like TradeZella, something for Umar here?
Yeah. Well, first of all, big up Umar. Obviously, been watching him for quite some time now, and we've been speaking as well. Me myself have actually been using TradeZella since April, so I saw what it was like before all of the forex sort of features really came into play, when you had the manual integrations with MetaTrader. Big respect. Love what you're doing. My sort of question, right, is a bit more away from, I don't want to say trading, but just, just generally away from the whole trade management side of things. I was watching, your pod now that you do with Raja, but also the one you did previously, really recently. The question I had, right? So I see you started, trading from like 18, and then when you made, that money, and then you lost it and whatnot. Aside from your actual trading journey, which obviously you've done really well over the last 10 years, at what point did you know inside yourself that, okay, I want to also explore like the business side of things and, start a business, for example, that you have done with TradeZella? But also my other question is what was that sort of trigger or purpose that you had within you that told you that, okay, this is what I want to do, this is how I'm going to do it, and then sort of executing from that point?
Yeah, sure. So first, thanks. And only other person I know with the same name.
I was just going to say.
Yeah. I mean, I knew from day one, ultimately. I think I've always said, trading is a vehicle for me to make money so I can pour money into other projects I want to do. So from day one, that was kind of my mindset. What brought projects? I didn't know what projects. That was it, right? But my main thing early on was, hey, focus on trading, get good at it, make money, and then take that money and invest it into businesses or start something. Once again, I didn't know what that business was or what that was going to be until 2018. 2018 is the idea of hey, in the journaling space, there's nothing really good out there, in my opinion. And I was like, oh, it'd be great if this company could do this or that company could do that. And no one really kind of made the changes that I wanted them to. And I have no background in software. So it was just I don't think I should do it because that's not something I know anything about. I think towards the end of 2019 was when I was kind of fuck it. What's the worst that's going to happen? And you also have to keep in mind, I'm also at a place where I'm making a substantial amount from trading, where even if this was to fail at that point, depending on how much I invested into it, it wouldn't ultimately hurt me. And I hate to sound like that, but it was also had a big cushion, right? So there was very limited downside, and it was ultimately just for me from day one, just want to get to the next level. And to get to the next level was to go in new territories, new uncomfortable places. And, for me, TradeZella was that. And but the process, it was a difficult process because transitioning from a trader to building a software company is hard because the idea of the way risk works in a software business and the way your investment comes back to you is completely different than trading. Like tomorrow I can trade and I can make X amount, where in software it'll take you 6 months, a year and a half to build something. And even when we build something, there's never an end of it. So the reward doesn't show up right away. So the mindset shift needs to be there, learning how to run a business, learning how to run a team, learning how to build a team, learning how to organize your days and weeks better and all that. Those are skill sets that I had to pick up on because I obviously didn't have that before.
Yeah, so that's exactly the part I was really interested in, right? Was that, of course, you mentioned as well, you made a substantial amount of money from trading. So there was really no risk for you to, try and start TradeZella or any business that you're doing. So what I really wanted to understand was the whole, like, how did you shift your mindset from, just being a trader to then being able to take that approach to the business? Or was it just a case of, fuck it, I can lose the money, I'm going to learn on the job and we're just going to go from here?
I mean, of course I don't want to lose the money, but that did help. That did help. And I'm always a big fan of, learning as you go, right?
Yeah,
if you want to learn something, entrepreneurship is just, you start something, one foot forward, another foot after that, and you just keep learning as things go on. And for me, it was just, hey, the only way I'm going to know how to do this, because at first I was trying to get all the pieces together. I need to know this, I need to know that, I need to know this, and I procrastinated for 6 months. And then one day I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to keep wasting my time. I'm going to kick off the project, I'm going to allocate the money, I'm going to sign the contract, I'm going to put the team together. And I know I'm going to make mistakes, and it's okay, because I'd rather make mistakes and come back to this in 50 years and say, hey, I made that mistake and I fucked up, opposed to, oh man, I didn't start this or I didn't start that. So it's one foot forward and just keep moving forward as I keep going. That was it.
I think that's so important, right? Because I'm sure what many people tend to do is they'll have a plan in place and then they'll never execute because they're too afraid, or they're like, oh, what if this happens? What if that happens, right? Whereas you just said, I'm going full force and it's either going to work or it's not going to work, but we'll find out.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Just like I said, one foot forward, one foot right after it.
I love that.
And just keep your risk minimal, even in business, right? And just do it as smart, and do it with all the knowledge you have at the current stage, even though it's not enough to get things rolling. But as you keep moving and as you keep going into it, things start coming to you slowly and surely.
Yeah, no, I love that. Thanks for that answer, bro.
No problem. Thank you.
Umar, you should see how many people have messaged Umzi, saying your podcast with Riz was amazing.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that. So Umar, literally, since your pod came out of Riz, people messaging me like, bro, can you teach me? And I'm like, bro, that's not me.
Oh man.
Bro, Umzi will like one of my tweets that says Umar A liked your tweet. And then I go thinking it's Umar and it's Umzi, and I'm equally as happy.
Big up, Shinobi.
Yeah. But Mr. Umar, I had a quick question. I just want to come on here and ask one simple question and leave.
What's up,
Mr. Ashraf, I just wanted to know, you're working on the new backtesting feature on the best trading journaling platform, TradeZella, at TradeZella. And I was wondering, when can we expect that to roll out so I can start backtesting my strategies properly?
My realistic goal would be like the first or second week of October. My aggressive goal to get the team to get it out as soon as possible is the end of September, or around, let's just say end of September. These things take time. Like, development takes a lot of time to build something the right way, not make it clunky, make it fast, efficient. So most people or most companies would take 3-4 months to develop this. We're throwing a lot of bodies at this and trying to make it really, really good in the next 4 weeks or 5 weeks. So even 4 weeks is super, super fast. So I would say end of September.
I expect nothing less from Mr. Ashraf himself.
Thanks, man.
All right, guys. Well, I'm going to head out. I just wanted to ask that quick question about TradeZella. Thanks for answering, Mr. Ashraf.
Nice. We're Trader Roundup. We got Riz, Umar. We got a lot of phenomenal speakers here. Omar, Don, Andre, Umar, Rod. We've kind of gone around the table one time. We'd like to bring you in. If you got a question for one of the speakers, Umar's time is limited, so directed towards him, or quite frankly, any of the other speakers as well. We would love to hear from you. the community. So come on up, request to speak, and we
Yeah,
want to hear what you got to say.
I just gotta head out in like 5 minutes. So yeah, let's wrap it up with a few more questions. But I'm down to do this again another day and make it a lot longer.
Right on, bro. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
in your DMs, you know that. So let's
Let's
make it
do it,
happen.
man.
Let's make it happen, bro. I love the idea. So Umar is wrapping up. We'll take maybe one more question then for him, and then we'll open up the floor to some other speakers. Rod, bring it, brother.
Hey, Umar. So, for me as a performance coach, I look at not just the the quantitative data, the stats and the analytics, but also the qualitative data, the emotions, the feelings, the thoughts, before, during, and after trading. So to capture this information, the TradeZella journal, it's lacking some of these features, and so I still have to use Notion. I still have to go through some of the tools that I have. Do you guys have any plans on sort of having extra features like habit trackers and daily scorecards and things of that
Yeah.
nature? Because those are the tools that really do help traders with gamifying the daily process.
Yeah, so we are working on that as we speak right now. Even our notebook section, our notebook, we're upgrading it. So you'll see by Friday, it'll be relatively similar to Notion, right? The whole text editor component of it. So we are working on things consistently and getting a lot of feedback. But listen, whatever ideas you have, go DM me. I'm open to any sort of ideas, any way we can improve TradeZella. You being a performance coach, immensely helps us a lot getting your feedback. So shoot that over, and I would love to hear it and see what we can implement.
Inshallah, brother, will do. Appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Well, we'll wrap up our time with Umar. We'll hang out probably for another half hour, 45 minutes. There are quite a few speakers here. There will be a lot of questions from you, I am sure. But I want to thank our guest, Umar Ashraf, today, highlighted on Riz's Words of Wisdom podcast. And yeah, man, just wanted to say thank you very much for coming on by. And I look forward to hollering at you in the DMs.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much, man. It means a lot. And keep doing great work, man, for the community. You and Riz, both super big inspirations to me and so many more people. Keep crushing it, man.
Thank you, Umar. Thank you. Will do. Appreciate the flowers.